It is still the conversation on Lagos television, and of course, we are still celebrating 26 years of unbroken democracy in Nigeria. And of course, 32 years ago, we had the freest of election in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But today, some Nigerians have taken it upon themselves to protest against hardship, bad governance in the country. You saw our Abuja Bureau Chief earlier giving us details of what is happening in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Right here in Lagos, members of Take It Back movements and civil society groups are gathering at Maryland roundabout for a peaceful protest. And the organizer says the protest is to spotlight what they describe as 2 years of misrule, hardship, and insecurity under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The protesters, as we speak, are heading towards Ojota from Maryland, where there is heavy security presence. And there you have the visuals of what is happening at Maryland. This morning, Nigerians are out in their numbers to exercise their constitutional rights. Of course, peacefully, without any form of violence. And those are members of Take It Back movement and some other civil society groups right there at Maryland roundabout. Adebimpe.
Yes, earlier when we started, I asked a particular question. Has this protest, this June 12 protest, how has it evolved? Is it beyond June 12 now, or there are other reasons why this protest, continues every year? And the Take It Back movement have stated it clearly that it's about 2 years of misrule, hardship, and insecurity under President Bola Tinubu's administration. Is it just now we're having misrule? Is it just now we're having hardship, or it has become worse? And of course, insecurity. Has it become worse in 2 years of President Bola Tinubu's administration?
So that's what is happening as we speak right here in Lagos, the nation's commercial city. And of course, much later on the program, we are still going to reconnect with our Abuja Bureau Chief Arogbodo to also give us latest from the Federal Capital Territory. But right here in the studio this morning, we have some gentlemen, Dari Oloyede, lawyer and political observer, as well as Dr. Saheed Ahmad, political affairs analyst. They will be giving us their own perspective of June 12 and the impact of democracy in Nigeria. June 12 now, for those who were born in June 12, 1993, they will be 32 years, or they are 32 years today. I remember vividly well that I was in secondary school when we had that election, and Nigerians came out in their numbers to exercise their franchise. What has changed when you look at our voting pattern today? What has changed when you look at governance today? These are some of the issues that we are going to raise with our guests in the studio this morning. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the conversation this morning.
Thanks for having me.
And happy Democracy Day.
Happy Democracy Day to all.
So are you happy that we are celebrating Democracy Day today and 32 years after June 12? How happy are you?
I'm happy today to be here to discuss June 12, 1993. I have to be happy for life. That I'm alive to be one of those discussing it is enough reason to be thankful to God.
Okay. Dr. Said.
Well, good morning, Mr. Moderator. Good morning, viewers. I am thankful that I am here. I am thankful that we're all here, despite everything and in spite of it. As for being happy, the state of happiness will always remain relative to individual situations, times, and places. So, but if you ask me if I'm happy this morning, I would say, alhamdulillah, I would say that I am thankful, I'm alive, healthy, and that the country is still one, peaceful, cohesive entity, and that we could still all be in the studio this morning discussing whether we're happy or not.
Okay, so that will give me the basis of my next question. 26 years of unbroken democracy, and of course 32 years of June 12. Where were you in June 12, on June 12, 1993? And give us the basis of what transpired before, during, and after that election.
June 12, 1993, I remember vividly. I actually voted. I voted, and it was gleeful. We were all very happy. we had very high hopes. I mean, the slogan then, Hope 93. We had high hopes for Nigeria. We felt that our future, I was a young lawyer then. We just, we were just coming out of law school, and we're looking forward to all the promises that Chief MK Abiola of blessed memory made during the campaign travels. So, well, it was a glorious day, option A4. I still believe it's the cheapest, freest, and fairest election that this country had ever known compared to what we're having now. We just queued, you queued behind the poster of the party you are voting for. It didn't cost much. We didn't have beavers, we didn't have electronic, whatever. We were just on the queue, we were singing. People brought out food to feed those of us on the line. You know, it was vintage Nigeria. I hope we get the Nigeria of that particular day again. You will see joy radiating. We were drinking, people were singing. I mean, we didn't need a security. We didn't need policemen around. We didn't need soldiers around. There was no need for anything. We all knew where we were going. You know, if I talk about June 12, 1993, I can't finish this in 2, 3, 4, 5, even 24 hours. It was a wonderful day. So now, living all through these years to see what Nigeria has become, our elections, party politics, democracy as a whole, you begin to wonder. I mean, we're not even talking about policies now. We're not talking about what the government of the day is doing, what it's not doing. We're talking about a Nigeria where you won't talk about elections, were never about religion. I mean, Chief MK Abiola, it was a Muslim ticket.
Yeah.
Nobody bothered. Nobody cared. You understand? We just went out there and voted. And the other party too presented a Muslim candidate. And nobody cried about, oh, they want to turn Nigeria into a mono-religion theater. We just knew where we were going. So, I mean, I speak with nostalgia that we couldn't build upon that. And unfortunately, the beneficiaries of the unfortunate outcome of that wonderful election, they are the people. Most of them are the people
in power
who are in power today, and they are not leading. They are not leading in the spirit of June 12, 1993. I'll stop here.
Okay, Dr. Said. Even while as we prepare to join our Abuja Bureau Chief Adeboyega Arogbodo to give us details of what is happening in Abuja as we speak, Dr. Said, give us your own narrative of what happened on the 12th of June 1993, and what does it portray about the unity and oneness of Nigeria then?
Yeah, thank you very much. June 12, 1993, as a much younger person, I voted. And with the young mind then of observing, understanding, and processing happenings around, it was very clear that in the days, in the weeks, in the months leading to that election, it appeared Nigerians had decided on which direction they wanted to go. It was a lot more clear, even before that day of the election, what was likely to happen. So when option A4 was put forward as the operative protocol for that election, nobody was afraid of going to line up behind
The candidates.
the candidate they wanted to vote for, because the decision was already made. It wasn't like somebody needed to come and induce or do any of those things. So that was the general atmosphere. MKO is our man. Oh, everybody was singing that. Children who'd never seen MKO, who didn't even know what a man is supposed to be like, everybody was singing MKO is our man. So that was however, the euphoria that engendered that day will quickly begin to fizzle as the anticipation for the release of the results grew. First, it started trickling in, and then at a much slower pace, and then there were pauses, and then people were getting glued to the NTA network news at 9 o'clock, and nothing was coming. And then there was a national broadcast that said, okay, all further announcement, and then people knew that something was. And to cap that, the general atmosphere of peace, of a sense of direction, of people finally thinking that they got what they wanted, will quickly be replaced by a sense of loss. And as I sit here, you're forcing me to cast my mind back to start, counting some of, I don't want to say loss because we're still here at the end of the day, but I remember very clearly in the crisis that will follow. I was supposed to be returning to school. I came home briefly. I was still in med school. I came home briefly. I was supposed to be returning to Zaria. And I was sent on an errand. We lived then somewhere in the suburb of Lagos, Unity Estate in Egbeda. I was sent on an errand somewhere in Surulere, and that was where I got stuck. And between Bankolimo and the stadium roundabout, I can't forget that scenario. It was crawling under the, tear gas and all of that. I trekked. I trekked all the way from, if you know Egbeda I trekked all the way from Surulere to Egbeda that day. Not on an open road. Of course, you had to dock, and that was not, as I sit here now, that's not a memory you want to relive. Because if there's a video that can translate that memory, I don't know how much different it will be from what you read and hear and see of happenings in Somalia and on that day, on those sets of days when the crisis, needless crisis, I would say. But by and large, looking back and looking forward, I think we should still have a lot of reason to be thankful that when you see an elderly person whose eyes have sunken into his socket.
He must have seen a lot.
Yes, you will not criticize the sunkenness of the eyes. You will respect the visions that those eyes have seen. As compared with a young one who thinks that now he wants to watch all the YouTubes now. You don't see half of those things before those eyes will go blind. So the memories of what we have been through should be the galvanizing force to reset us. If Nigeria without Twitter, Nigeria without Instagram, Nigeria without mobile phones was that orderly, could organize, could develop a national sense of direction, the question should not be, in my opinion, the question should not be whether we want to change things overnight. The question should be, what was the philosophy that influenced that national cohesiveness in either it's going to be SDP or NRC. Why wasn't there crisis in Kano when Abiola won against Bashir Tofa in Kano? And why wasn't a crisis in Abeokuta when MKO would go ahead and so on and so forth? That is the principle, that is the background that we should re-examine. But maybe we will get there in the course of the conversation. It will appear like the then victims of June 12, who would later become the beneficiaries of June 12, are now apparently the exploiters of the memories and legacies of June 12.
Okay, Mr. Oloyede,
Yes.
I'm going to use the word of Dr. Said now. He said June 12 should have galvanized what we are doing today when it comes to democracy. There were pains, there were gains, but are we reasonable enough as a country to take certain lessons from what we did right on the 12th of June 1993 to put the nation on the right track of democracy today?
Yes. June 12 was meant to be a launch pad. It was meant to actually galvanize this country from the nadir of civilization to the zenith. If we had seized the momentum, and when I say we now, I'm not talking of Nigerians generally. I mean, this was a conversation I was having with some of my classmates on a particular forum, even this morning, about every time something happening, I mean, a big man or a prominent person does something, or a Nigerian does something in any part of the world that is probably criminal or corrupt and dishonest. And then people will then say, oh, Nigerians are corrupt, Nigerians are dishonest, you can't, I mean, our leaders come from amongst us, so You can't have a leader that is essentially different from us. You see, I always disagree with people when they say that all Nigerians, because we have a leadership problem, or some Nigerians are fraudsters and all that, and then you come in public domain and you say, oh, all Nigerians are useless people, they are thieves, we are all the same, we are no better than our leaders and all that. One person, I mean, you just need one person. Look at, going back to June 12, 1993, what was it that endeared MK Abiola to people? Why did we rally around him? You see, if Nigerians get the kind of leader that we need, I'm not talking of the one we want, the leader that we need, it won't take much. We don't need a national orientation agency, because some people at times say, national orientation agency, what work are they doing? They are getting paid. You don't need a national orientation agency to tell you what is right or what is good. We were not born with that innate capacity, but as we grow older in life, we begin to see that when you do this, these are the results.
Okay.
I mean, let me talk about something that happened. Is it yesterday or the day before? A big man missed his flight. He missed his flight. I hope I'm allowed to talk about that here.
Why not?
Yes. He missed his flight. And this is something that happens to all of us almost all the time. My daughter went for youth service yesterday. She had to catch a flight, that same place. And I didn't sleep. I woke up around after 3 a.m. because that would be her first time traveling
alone.
I mean, she had traveled out of the country, but within Nigeria, she had to take a flight. So I was awake before 3 a.m. And the mother said, why are you so? I said, no, I don't want her to miss that flight because it would be a terrible experience. So I woke up and I was there. When it was 5, I said, go and wake her up. She woke her up, and of course she was being so sluggish. And I said, look at your receipt. It says you must be at the gate by so time. Everybody knows that. And then this big man gets there and says, I checked in online. Checking in online is not the same thing as being at the gate at a particular time.
Board.
So then some people started justifying the fact that that's how they behave. I said, Michon, stop that. In this country, you have a situation where when a big man does something, instead of using that big man as an example, we then say, oh, all of us are bad. Why are you blaming him? Somebody stole money. You say all civil servants are corrupt. Should we live with that? That's what June 12 was to us.
All right, Mr. Loide, please just hold your thoughts a bit. Our Abuja Bureau Chief, Adegboyega Robodo, is back again. Boyega, any recent development in the Federal Capital Territory?
All the sick time are full. But we've been parading the whole city, and right now we are still very close to the Eagle Square because that's where the protesters, said that they'll be having their protest. But as it's where, as in our journey round, we ran into this group of young people. They are students of Polytechnic. I think they are National Association of Polytechnic Students. They are having a solidarity march, a kind of support for the present government. And we've just been addressed by the chairman of NANS, who was part of the move. And right now we even have one of the former president of the same association here with us. And okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, good morning.
All right.
Well, good morning.
Yeah, so tell us the motive behind this solidarity protest.
Yeah, not protest. It's a solidarity march by the leadership of the National Association of Polytechnic Students. They have come out in numbers, in thousands, to solidarize with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Yes, for his numerous interventions and investments in Nigerian educational sector. So that's why they are here.
So why this solidarity? What are those things that he had done that you are so impressed about?
A whole lot. He has invested hugely. In fact, you can check for the record. Since the inception of democracy in Nigeria, this is the president that has invested most in education. Yes, just of recent, the technical students, he gave them, he approved free education for them. You understand, free feeding and even stipends for them. About 45,000 of them. So many. Look at the NEL Fund scheme, fourth of its kind in Nigeria. your children do not need to have any reason not to achieve their dream. Like, for instance, if any of your ones want to study anything in any course in tertiary institution, you don't have any excuse for not studying the course, because you can go for near fund loan, you get the loan and some stipend that will take you through your days in school, and after which you must have gotten a job. There is a particular number of years that you need to pay back the money. You see, this is life made easy for common men on the street. So we felt we have never had it this good in this country. Students of these days under this administration are so lucky to have Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as their president. Yes. So we are here to make him understand that we are seeing a good job and we want him to do more, especially for the polytechnic sector. We want him to convert the National Board for Technical Education to National Commission for Technical Education. Like, the polytechnic is far better than even the university, because we are the one training people. We are the one training people to have good manpower. We are the one training people to have good skills. So to that end, we feel the president should look into it and convert NBT to NCTE, and as well convert HND to BTech, so that the polytechnic can as well, be issuing degrees, the BTech honors, as advised by the National Board for Technical Education. So this is our plea and our prayers to Mr. President.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Boyega.
Most welcome.
All right.
Are there security agents there with them?
Yeah, the security agents are around. A whole lot of them. They are really in support of the. They are guiding them as it were. Because a lot of them parading the whole environment to avoid the solidarity stuff being hijacked by hoodlums. Because recent happenings in the FCT have shown that if it's not well managed, the whole stuff can just be hijacked by people of very different characters. So, but as it were, they're about to march around. According to them, they are going around to the gates of the National Assembly, to the gate of the Aso Rock Villa, and really, if you could see the convergence, they are all moving, they are all coming together, and they are assuring us that it won't be hijacked by any unfortunate range of people, because they are everywhere in the FCT.
All right, Adeboyega, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that update.
All right, I'll give you, as it were, we are going around the city to give you if there's any other information concerning the protest, but as it were, everything is just easy and cool in the FCT.
All right, we'll be waiting to hear from you. So back to the studio now, Mr. Loyede. You were trying to give us some analysis before that break.
Yes, talking about the effect of the June 12, 1993 thing, that is something that ought to have propelled us to greater heights. But unfortunately, we have not seized the momentum. We are fond of apportioning blames. When something bad happens, it is always, Nigerians are the cause of this problem. I mean, even when you talk about elections, you say, but you people, you are the ones who voted this person, who did this, who did that. But we never actually sit down to appreciate the fact that the number one step, for instance, what happened to the elections, the June 12 elections? Doctor just said the results were being announced, then later it started coming in trickles. He did not talk about the point where, for instance, some Nigerians went to court to get a midnight order saying that everything is stopped. There was a previous one where the judge actually said the election should not have gone on. A judge. Now, all those things, we were able to, beat the odds. We voted and we did what we should do. Instead of us, for instance, to build up on that and say, look, today people tout the fact that, we now have, 26 years of democracy and all that. Honestly, it's commendable. We should be happy about that. No coup. It is one of the fallouts of June 12 because Nigerians voted overwhelmingly to say, never again. We don't want military men to run our affairs. Well, if we take that, you cannot take the benefit and throw away the burden. Now, the burden here has permeated into all sectors of Nigerian life. The academic institutions and all that. I mean, the young man talked about having a solidarity march, for instance. Is an indication of democracy thriving when people can protest, when people can support. Now, you have situations where, I mean, there were opposition, people in opposition then when the military refused to allow us to take the benefits of June 12. There were people who came up. Those are the benefactors today. Those who are presidents, governors, senators, and all that. Why did that happen? The whole society was behind them. Some of us were protesting. I was a young lawyer. There were things that a lawyer should not do. I did them because I was protesting. We will go to Third Mainland Bridge, the ramp, to go to the island. We will block the whole place, believing that, look, if we stop people from going to work, then they will know. That's even like years after the elections failed. We will go there. We were young people from Unilag, everywhere. In Great Ife, people that came from, we were young people. We did all those things. And the military were in power. Nobody could read. They will come, throw tear gas, disturb us and all that. That is not even being allowed now. Now, there are people who say we want to protest. And they would inform police and they would do that. They will be saying, okay, join us at so place in the open. And then a day or two to that, say, no,
You cannot
we feel that it will be hijacked. These are adults. Growing up as a university student, I remember in those days, we will come to University of Lagos to come and play football or anything. And we'll be singing abusively, singing against them. We never fought. You understand? Everybody should have a right to express himself or herself so that the society can grow. The government is not being helped by sycophants, people who are bootlickers. Because when you keep on telling government that, oh, you are doing everything right, government is doing some things very right. I can tell you that. Some fiscal policies, wonderful. But some are just terrible. And then you need another shade of opinion to come out openly and tell you that this is wrong. Those are the kind of things we have trampled upon. Things that naturally, especially because the benefactors were those who rode on the back of June 12, 1993 into power, they are the ones who should have taken us from this level we are in to a much better place. And we are not there yet.
Okay, talking about a much better place, Dr. Said, 26 years of unbroken democracy now. What are those major ingredients of democracy that you think is lacking when you look at our style of governance and those that we are electing to represent us?
Well, I am no political scientist. Surely I am no politician. However, I think there is an element that we miss. And we do that as humans, as a people, as a community, even as intellectuals. That is the tendency to overgeneralize at convenience or to individualize when it is deemed expedient. Democracy, I will be careful. People talk about democracy a lot. Dividends of democracy, ingredients of democracy, features of democracy.
Gains of democracy.
Gains of democracy, burdens of democracy. I add that to my list now. People talk about that a lot. What people seem to generally overlook is that democracy as a philosophy is not a monolithic idea. It's not a cast-in-stone idea. And whenever this kind of discussion comes in, I stand to be educated by anyone to give me an example of one successful democracy in the world that is exactly a replica of another successful democracy in the world. The European democracy has countries that are running parliamentary system is democracy. Some of these democracies still have their royal institutions intact. By all means and standard and definition, the UK is a democracy. Right. England still has a king. Indeed, King of England and Wales is still the King of Australia, is still the King of Canada, and so many other countries. Recently, King Charles went over to Canada to go and deliver a speech from the throne. People would think democracy means that all such traditional institutions should have no more say, whether symbolic or effectual in say. That is one. American democracy is another. By all means, definition and standard, you consider America to have a democracy. And I take no sides here. But a democracy also has the feature of throwing up a 34 times felon to occupy the highest office in the land. It is democracy because the majority of the electorate in that election decided that is the man that they wanted. So whatever is happening in the democracy of the locality, the gains of it, the responsibility for it, the burden of it must have to be carried by the people to redesign and adapt it for what they want. Come back home. Nigerian democracy, June 12. Again, people seem to have developed a penchant for vogue in criticism. You cannot get popular if you deliver a speech and all you talk about are the good things a particular government has done. No, government can't do right. What makes you a radical, what makes you an activist, what makes you a human right is to always talk about the wrong things that are happening. Nigerians have become experts. I say this a lot. Nigerians have become experts in all the wrong things happening. Nigerians have become, pontiffs in all the problems that we have. We do not lack the voices telling us where our problems are. What we do not seem to have enough of are the preferment of solutions and how we get to achieve those solutions. This morning, just before I left home, we had this conversation, and someone was telling me in the house that, look, the government has just to do better. The government has to, and I'm like, okay, do we start from us defining what is better? The problem that seems to permeate the polity now is whenever we have the opportunity, it is to say we're not happy. Nigerians are hungry. Nigerians are angry. There's insecurity. There was insecurity 4 years ago when a general was our president. There was insecurity 8 years before then when Goodluck Jonathan was there. There was insecurity before Yar'Adua died. Obasanjo was another military general. He actually had to level an entire village because of security challenges. So for us to express like insecurity started 2 years ago will make us always miss the point because we're going to be instantaneous. How do we go from here taking the benefit of June 12th? Unfortunately, what is making our dilemma as professional critics of government harder now is that we now have a president who not only was a chieftain of anti-corruption being perpetrated by the military class, a chieftain of the voices of opposition, a sufferer, a victim, by all means, standard and definition. So now, what would you tell him about where we're coming from that he doesn't know? What story of June 12th would you narrate to him that he wasn't a core part in? Meaning that we have a collective responsibility.
Both government and the people.
Government, people, and, if you like, the third voice, which is the voices of in the houses of God. Because these, unless you call them and you title them, it's only when you need them for special prayers that you expect them to show face. When a cleric is talking too much, they say he's supposed to be an imam now. What is his business in politics? He's supposed to be a pastor. He should stick to... But these are the people who will indirectly, spiritually campaign for the politician in their churches and the masjid, meaning that they also carry a burden of whatever happens to the people. June 12th, we must realize that is an experiential event that we must always not just sloganize whenever the event comes and choose the day to go and protest. I challenge, I dare. People want to protest now, they're right. They should. However, between 365 days ago, June 12, 2024, and today, June 12, 2025, I have not seen an organized protest in Festac, for example, organized by the youths of Festac to go to the local government chairman's office and protest why are the drainages blocked. Go to FHA to go and protest. Why are the 75+% of roads in Festac now not motorable? Festac by far some of the most organized purpose-built cities in Nigeria. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen, I don't mean to be too particular, I'm just giving an example. Say in Koshofe, local government, for example, people are not happy at that. I haven't seen that happen. Why must it always be either October 1st when we're, or Democracy Day, that suddenly you now have civil society organizations because the cameras are going to be rolling? In the 365 days that intervene, these politicians are left alone, literally.
Okay.
At especially the lower levels. So the gains of June 12 should not just be beamed upon only at the national level. People helped, if you allow me, people helped the military junta that we all stood against in the so-called 93 election. Civilians were part of the military government that we are all painting as devils now. And we're just reminded that even the June 12th palaver, it wasn't the military, it wasn't Babangida that just climbed television and cancelled. What's that his name again?
The judge?
No. The first guy that filed the suit.
He's dead now.
Yes, he's dead now.
For better
yes, ABN. ABN.
Nzeribe?
Chukwumeri.
Nzeribe.
No, not Chukwumeri.
Nzeribe.
Yes. Went to court to stop an election that everybody was singing the praise of. We don't seem to talk about that. It's Babangida that cancelled election that we're talking about. Meaning that we need to reflect upon June 12th, not as one straight line of military council or civilians voted, but a collective responsibility whose gains we were not able to capitalize upon because something broke from among our ranks. We must have to go there and reflect over that.
All right, that's quite deep. Mr. Oloyede now, okay, forgetting June 12 now, whether we like it or not, 32 years ago, we have missed our way and, of course, our greatness to our path to greatness. Now that we are celebrating 26 years of unbroken democracy, he highlighted some things as what should be the responsibility of the people to always put government on their toes, not only when we are celebrating June 12 or October 1st. On the part of our leaders, what are those things that they need to reflect upon and, of course, change to give a semblance of reasonable government to the people so that indeed they can have reasons to celebrate democracy?
Well, as the doctor had said, the president of today was a very active participant in the processes leading up to the entrenchment of democracy in Nigeria, as we have had it for 26 years. So it takes a lot for someone like me to begin to lecture him on the things he should do or things he should not do in order to move this country forward. We will all agree that Nigeria can be better than it is now. From like I've always told people, I don't carry the card of any party. I'm not a politician. I've never earned a salary in my life. So my loyalty is to God and to myself and my immediate family, really. And I love this country. So when I say things, I say them from a position of responsibility. A person who wants a better country for his children and probably my grandchildren if I live to see them and thereafter. Now, our leaders have a lot to do. We usually mention Singapore and what's that other country? There's another country that is very popular. Let's make do with Singapore. that country was not
Switzerland.
no, not Sweden. It's Singapore. That country was not doing too well when the man came on board. And he single-handedly reorientated the generality of the people into, first of all, believing in their country and doing right. Now, he did not achieve that by simply abdicating his responsibility. The buck stopped on his table, and he seizes every opportunity to tell the people that, no, there's a new sheriff in town. This is not going to happen under my watch. So, my own humble opinion here is, we need, the Nigerians who err, the Nigerians who do anything bad, the first major step that I pray, I wish our leaders can begin to do, apart from conducting themselves in the most lawful manner within the confines of the law. And when I say that, it means you should not steal. It means you should, you should not rig elections. It means you should
break traffic lights.
You should love your country so much. You should be ready, able, and willing to die for your country. Apart from all that, anybody, that we have discussed rule of law here. Rule of law simply means all of us are equal before the law. What is good for the goose, like Chief Deburai will say, are also good for the goose. You understand? That is what Nigeria needs. That's what our leaders should preach. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I will not praise him, I will not disparage him. But the one thing I am certain of is, the man, like the First Lady said, pre-election, we don't need Nigeria's money. We are okay. He is not there to make money. He is there to make a name. To make a better name for himself. To leave a legacy of effectiveness and efficiency. He can only do that by telling his lieutenants, other leaders, that if you do anything evil, anything contrary to the law, I am not going to help you out. You don't get clean by joining my party. If you like, join my party and become the chairman. If you mess up, I will mess you up. So the number one thing that Nigeria needs, when Buhari was head of state, President Buhari, that today people are now saying is the cause of our problems and all that. When he was head of state, right, alone by the way he conducted himself, Nigerians became the most disciplined people on earth. War against discipline. Why? We became disciplined. We were who born you? We were not doing all the terrible things we are doing now. You joined the queue. You did everything right. The crime went low. My humble self. I was a young, what's it called now? Secondary school graduate then. I was picked up by soldiers and detained for a week for playing drafts at an ungodly hour. I'm telling you the truth. They just came. We woke up, it was a competition. We used to play that we were young. On holiday, we were playing. I was a champion.
And you never tried it again?
So, why would I try it? Somebody that I defeated last night came to knock on our window that we are come. Did what you did yesterday, let's try it to reset it. And the soldiers were always parading. They were going around and they saw us and everybody ran. I was a stubborn young man. I have to tell this story so that a good man today may be a bad man tomorrow, and vice versa. When everybody ran, I didn't run, and they came to me. Why didn't you run? I said, why should I run? This is my country. I've not done anything wrong. I said, hey, this one can speak English. And they took me to the barracks. Nobody knew where I was. No, let me just round up. So what I'm saying is, the number one thing Nigeria needs is exemplary leadership. A leader that will say, look, you fought at the airport yesterday. I'm sorry, I'm going back there again. You fought at the airport yesterday, and you are a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Look, you people, why didn't you apprehend him? Pick him up, and if you see that he's guilty of any having committed, please let him face the wrath of the law. Then Nigerians will toe the line.
All right. We are all hopeful that their country, Nigeria, will change from what it is now to a better country in the future. But if it's going to change, it's a combination of what those in government are going to do, as well as the people who they are representing. We are here today celebrating 26 years of unbroken democracy, as well as Democracy Day, June 12, 1993, when we had the freest of election in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We must thank you very much, Dario Oloyede, lawyer and political observer, as well as Dr. Saeed Ahmad, political affairs analyst. We can only wish our country well.
Yes.
We thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a very quick break now. When we come back, Adebimpe will be taking you through our own journey of June 12 with our guest. Stay with us.
The views expressed on this program do not represent that of the producer, management of Lagos Television, or the Lagos State Government. They remain the perspectives of those expressing them. Thank you for staying with Lagos Television.